what's up people? In today's video I want to talk about the differences between the AD20 and AD20 Slim, and I'm gonna compare it to some other knives as well. We're also gonna talk about blade shapes, steels, in the end of the video, all the good stuff, everything that you need to calm down your artistic knife buying mindset. Well, let's start with the AD20 and why back in 2020 I called this the best knife of the year. And the reason for that was simply the AD20 symbolizes simplification engineering wise, I would say, because the locking system, the shark lock, really breaks down what a lot of locking systems are trying to do. It's ambidextrous, it's very strong, it's simplified in a way, it locks up at the tang of the blade, but it only uses one coil spring, and that coil spring is trapped inside this little bar here and within two steel liners that only are there where the locking system is. So really the liners are only where you need them and not through the entire knife. You know, Cold Steel has done this, for instance, in the past with the Triad lock. They took away the liners because in a backlock you actually don't really need liners. That's not what it's really about. You don't need that strength on the side. You need it where the locking system actually is. So this is kind of, yeah, a simplification in that sense, that it is a very robust locking system, but it's also broken down to what it really needs to be, right? And also don't has like omega springs that an Access lock has. It's way simpler in construction, way less parts. The locking system, or the coil spring I should say, is also, because it's trapped in here, it's kind of protected against elements, right? It's very hard for dust and dirt to get in here. So I think it is a really good knife engineering wise. What I never liked about the AD20 though was it's a 4.8 millimeter blade stock thickness, and it's very thick behind the edge. What's the thickness actually? What did I measure? 0.65 millimeters behind the edge. That's 25 thousandths, and it only gets thicker over time, right? This is a flat ground blade. In this case we have 20 CV, so it's only gonna be a lot of trouble, you know, over time. It's not gonna be as long lasting because it's only gonna get thicker, and it turns into a sharpened pry bar very quickly over time. So that was my only complaint about the AD20. It's thick behind the edge, and it's also kind of chunky and heavy. What's the weight? 175 grams. Let's put that into imperial system real quick here. For you Americans out there, 6.1 ounces. Yeah, hefty knife, heavy knife, chunky knife, and that's my only complaint about this knife basically. Other than that, it's really greatly built. And soon after this, the AD20.5 came out. It's the 3-inch version, you know, that's made in Taiwan. I kind of don't like the AD20.5 simply because of the price. It's about 200 euros here in Europe, and that's kind of expensive, to be honest, for AUS 10 flat ground blade, plastic handles case. I really like AUS 10A. It's a perfectly fine steel for me, but if it's thick behind the edge, and if it comes in at 200 euros in a 3-inch blade, I don't really get it, to be honest. And I wouldn't mind the steel if the knife would be thinner ground and lower priced. I really wouldn't mind, but I don't know. I think it's kind of too much. So I guess the custom version, or these are MG grounds, which means they have the custom versions, they have the machine ground versions, which are the grind is put on by a machine, so it's CNC cut, and then they have the Taiwanese production. And I guess the machine ground version of the AD20.5 would be the AD20 Compact. They also make the Compact, I think, with a short blade and a big handle, and they also make it with a short handle, short blade. And then they also have the AD22, which is also a 3-inch blade, and I make that in a custom and the machine ground version, I believe. So these are the American production knives. I didn't realize that they already came out with an AD20 Slim. I think more than a year ago now. I have no idea. I kind of missed that, really, to be honest. And the AD20 Slim is basically the AD20. Okay, it's the same exact size. Okay, same handle size, same blade size. Blade size, by the way, is 9.3 centimeters, which is 3.6 inches on both of these. And it's just thinner in construction, okay? The handle is thinner, the blade is thinner, blade stock, like I said, 4.8 millimeters, and this has 3.3, which is a nice change, I would say, because now you actually have that geometry that's set up for cutting. It's still thick behind the edge. It's not, Demkos are always not the thinnest behind the edge. This is still at least that's what I measured with my calipers, okay? We have to take that into consideration. My calipers may not be the precisest, but I think they're pretty good. And they told me this knife is about 0.5 millimeters behind the edge. So about 19 thousandths. Still thick, but still better than this one. You could see it in the beginning. This knife clearly performs better, especially when passing through materials that do a lot of binding here, the shoulders. You could see the plastic box. This knife just cut better. And also cuts better food. It cuts cardboard better. And we talk about the blade shapes in the end, but it mainly has to do, I think, with the geometry. Thinner blades and thinner grinds, they just cut better, they perform better, okay? That's just how it is. Geometry, thinner geometries do better. Now, so that's the AD20 Slim, basically. It's thinner, and I really like that. We're gonna compare it to some other knives real quick as well, before we go into more of the differences. Here is Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Because these are the same size, I put this off real quick so we can have the Spyderco Manix in here. The Manix is gonna be important later in the video because it's really really the same category of knife, I would say. Here is a Cold Steel Recon 1, and let's put in a Hindera XM18 3.5 inch. Okay, so I guess the most interesting next spec that I have to give you is the weight, because like I said, this is 6.1 ounces, 175 grams, and the AD20 Slim is not that much lighter. It is lighter considerably, but not that much. It's actually 5.3 ounces. That's 151 grams. So I would say if you are, oh sorry, couldn't even see that right here. Here you go, 5.3 ounces. I would say if you are used to a Cold Steel Recon 1, how it feels in the pocket, you're going to feel very familiar in terms of width, thickness of the handle. Okay, this is very similar in terms of its thickness and also in terms of its weight. The Recon 1 clip point is lighter. I think the Tanto is more comparable in terms of the weight, but not much. It's not lighter by much. So if you are used to carrying knives like this size range, okay, this thickness and this weight, then you are going to be used to carrying this. So this is the PM2. It is thicker than the PM2, not by much, but a little bit thicker, and also much nicer contoured, I would say, than the flat Spyderco handles. These actually feel really good in hand, I would say. They have some slight hot spots if you do some of the harder cutting right in here, but they're only very, very minor, and you could easily fix that with some sandpaper, but they feel really good. One thing I noticed though, that my AD20 that I had bought like 3 years ago doesn't have the nice contouring going on. You see that here at the corners? This one is way better contoured, and you can feel that in hand. This feels much boxier, and this is much much better rounded off. And I don't know if that, I don't think it has to do with the AD20 Slim, because I have seen AD20 Slims that have exactly this handle, so with the not as much contouring going on. So I don't know why they do this. I wish they would only do it like that, because that handle feels just way nicer. It is a really nicely weight balanced knife as well. You kind of have a good balance here, and if you want to have the knife a little bit more handle balanced, you choke up, and then you have a more handle balanced knife, and you can choke back if you want to have a more blade heavy knife, right? So for certain cutting tasks, you can change your grip and be very effective with the weight distribution. So interestingly enough, for instance, the XM18, about the same, you can see about the same blade size, maybe a little bit shorter, but the AD20 and the AD20 Slim have just a little bit more cutting edge going on. And as you can see, the choil here on the hinderer takes up part of the blade, and it's really annoying because it's a small choil and it kind of is uncomfortable, I would say, to hold. And it also leads to a lot of binding. If you cut cardboard, the cardboard always binds up here because the choil is part of the blade, but here the choil is actually part of the handle, as you can see. Because realistically, you're only gonna cut cardboard to here, right, to this point, and not any further. So the choil is right where you don't have cutting material. So this choil is much better designed on the AD20 than on the hinderer here. So it is a well-designed knife in terms of weight distribution, how it feels in hand, where the choil sits. It is very clever, and like I said, engineering-wise with the shark lock, simplified, overly simplified, and simplification is a beautiful thing in engineering, I think. Yeah, what else is different? You get different kind of jimpings with these AD20s and AD20 Slims. So also some of the Slims might have this jimping here on the right, and it's just whatever you get, you know. Some of them have this jimping, some of them have that jimping. It really doesn't matter. This one feels more aggressive here on the right, and this one is more a little bit smoother. But I wouldn't base my buying decision on that, really. It's both of these work. One is just a little bit more coarse and the other one is smoother, and yeah, some visual differences as well. You can see that the shark lock on the AD20 is much thicker because the blade is thicker, obviously, so you need a wider lock as well. I haven't taken it apart, so I don't know if the spring is thicker. It might be. I'm not sure though. You can see that the standoffs, the barrel spacers, are thicker on the AD20 than on the Slim. And this is interesting. I think the liners and the scales, I think, are the exact same thickness. It's just the spacers and the shark lock is thick on the AD20. So these are interchangeable. And if you go to the Demko website, because I was thinking, hey, they would be really smart if they did the hinderer thing and only sold these in ugly colors and sold the cool colors on the website. And they actually do the hinderer thing. They make it, they make the scales and they sell you the scales for $100 on the website. And they fit both the AD20 and the AD20 Slim. So I'm 99% sure that these are interchangeable scales. So if you don't like one color and you have two of these, you can, change them out. It's just be careful that some of these are contoured and some of these are not. And I think these scales you can buy, they either have this texture or this diamond texture right here, which is very nice, I would say, because that's the right level of aggressiveness and also smoothness at the same time. It's not coarse, but it prevents you from slipping. So it's a good texturing. And they also have some peel ply G10, so they have the the coarse cold steel G10, they have those as well, I think. So yeah, still the same pocket clip on the AD20 Slim. Some people like them, some people don't. They are not deep carry. This is a work knife. You kind of have to live with that. So yeah, I don't mind it, honestly. They usually come with the ramp on the clip here facing down, and I think, I'm not sure though anymore, but I think I bent this ramp up a couple years ago because it helps it going in and out of thicker pants easier. So yeah, you can do that or not. however you like it. Well, let's talk about blade shapes actually, and then we jump into steels and what my conclusion is before this video gets too long. The machine ground version. So the customs, I think they have the clip point, draw point. They have some tanto, they have some tanto compound grinds. This is a slicer shark. They have the shark's foot, obviously, which is their sheep's foot blade. Which the slicer shark is also a sheep's foot blade. If you can see, this is not a center line point. So it's really more of a sheep's foot blade. Honestly, it's a blade shape that performs really well when draw cutting. Okay. So it's not as, you don't have as much control over the tip as you have in a clip point or in the draw point for that manner. And these machine ground versions, they make them in the same blade shapes as the customs, just without the tanto, I think. I've never seen a machine ground tanto. Yeah, so based on the blade shapes, depending what kind of cutting you like, if you like more of the slicing, or if you like more of the woodworking blade shapes, I would choose my blade shape on that. So if you already like sheep's foot blades and Warncliffs, you're gonna be much happier with the shark's foot or the slicer shark. The slicer shark, like I said, is a kind of a sheep's footy blade in performance. And if you like more of the draw points and the clip points, then the clip point and draw points will fit you nicer. So depending on that, I would choose my blade shape. You can see in the clip point you have a lot of straight edge, good belly, precise tip. And here this is more of a total continuous swoop in the blade. And not as, the belly is continuously, but not as pronounced as in this one. So depending how you like your blades, I would choose the blade shape on that. They make all of these either with no cutouts, just thumb studs, or just cutouts, as you can see here, or a mixture of both. And yeah, the difference is basically that the ones with the thumb studs, you can flick open like this nicer. You cannot do this with the chest cutout. See, this is a little bit more difficult. So you have to, the chest cutouts, you have to either slow roll or spidey flick. And obviously you can do that just by activating the locking system. But this is more spidey flickable than the thumb stud version, I would say. Or maybe this is because of the heavier blade, I don't know. And the thumb stud version is more flickable like that. So that's also a preference thing. I personally would prefer the thumb studs plus cutout. Cutout because weight reduction, and thumb studs because I like thumb studs more than I like to spidey flick my knives. But yeah, this is fine. You can still slow roll it. So I'm actually fine with both. You know, whatever I have, I don't care too much. Yeah, anything else? So blade shape, base it on whatever you like. Opening mechanism, not too important, but base it on whatever you like. And then we come to steel. Actually, on my first one, they did engrave the steel back here. As you can see, it says, maybe you can see this, it says 20 CV right in here. They did hand engrave it, I think. And on my newer one, it's already laser etched. Right in here. So this one is CPM M4, which is also why it has a little bit of a patina going on underneath the stonewash. So basically, the steels I've seen on these AD20s and AD20 Slims, they have M390 or 20 CV, which this one is, and Almax. So basically the chromium steels, high chromium, which means high stainlessness, high edge retention as well, lower in toughness, but they're gonna be still plenty tough because of the thicker grinds. And but yeah, again, M390 Almax, kind of hard to sharpen because these knives are already thick behind the edge and they're gonna thicken up quickly, especially the AD20s. So yeah, depending if you like that or not. And then they have the high alloy steels. So they make D2, and I've seen M4, and I'm not sure if they have any other steels in that category. They might have some Magna Cuts, but Magna Cut is really more of a total balanced steel, has a little bit of everything. The high alloy steels are usually more higher toughness, high edge retention, low corrosion resistance, right? M4, same category, I would say, as Cruwear, Rex 45, really high edge retention, really nice performance in terms of edge stability. You get more toughness out of these than out of the M390s 20CBs. I don't know what the heat treatment is. I've seen some videos on the Instagram, they heat treat their M4 to above 62 Rockwell, so they might also go above 60 with the M4 and 20CB, hopefully. I'm assuming though they do so, because yeah, below 60 it doesn't really make sense. You don't get the performance out of these steels, so you really need a little bit higher hardness as well. Some people have complained about the D2s, and I can understand that, because if this knife in M4 would have cost me the exact same money as the one with D2 would have cost me, and it's not CPM D2, so I get why people are complaining about that. But I also would say it's a custom heat treatment D2, so it's probably not going to be the same performance as a $30 Chinese D2 knife. Yeah, D2 has kind of been deranked over the years now, which is kind of sad, but yeah, that's how it is. Don't base what you think about the knife on the steel, because the heat treatment and especially the geometry is way more important than that, I would say. But it is nice that they have some varieties in steel, and like I said, I go towards the high toughness steels more, like M4, then I would go towards the high corrosion resistant steels like M390, so, or 20CB, same stuff. Yeah, let's break it down. What is the AD20 and the AD20 Slim? Well, it's very simple actually. The AD20 is a tank of a knife with some really nice engineering going on, but also a lot of robustness, and you have to like thick and heavy knives. That's just how it is. If you only carry thin, small, lightweight knives, you're not going to be happy with this. The AD20 Slim, however, is much nicer to carry. It also slices much better, so you get better cutting performance and better edge retention, of course, as well, because thinner geometries have higher edge retention. It's not going to be a knife that has a really insane price to performance ratio, okay? Even the AD20 Slim is not gonna be a laser in cutting, okay? It's not going to be a really good slicing knife, okay? If you're looking for more slicing capabilities and a better price, I would say, you know, pick up any Spyderco and a sprint run with a really nice steel, and you kind of get the same thing for less money, maybe even better, okay? This is more of a hard use knife, and this is more of a cutting performance knife. You can see a lot of differences here in the handle, and if you like the Manix, you can, it's kind of the same knife in a sense of it sacrifices the whole carryability in terms of width of the knife for comfort in hand, and the Manix and the AD20 Slim both do that. And yeah, this one is thinner blade stock, thinner behind the edge. It's gonna slice better, so you're gonna get more performance out of this knife. But that being said, the AD20 Slim can stand with all the high-level American-made mid-tech knives. It's really well built. It feels really good. Oh, did I mention that this runs on bearings and on the washers? I was concerned about that. No issue whatsoever. I have gotten a lot of dust in my knives, and it has never been an issue. I guess it's more of a build quality thing than an actual washers or bearing thing. These are really well built. If you only want to have a small collection with really high quality knives, and you want a hard use knife, kind of a tough work knife, this is gonna be your tough work knife. And you may say, hey, if this already doesn't cut too well in the Slim version, might I not just go for the AD20 with the full thickness and more hard use? Well, M4 is a plenty tough steel, so I would not sacrifice slicing, which just still doesn't cut bad at all. It just doesn't cut as good as, like I said, thinly ground Spyderco. This still cuts plenty good, so I wouldn't sacrifice my slicing for robustness, me personally. And I also wouldn't sacrifice the carryability of this for this, because this carries a lot better. Yeah, so that's basically it. High-end, very well built American-made knife Super good quality, super high quality. Yeah, a really good knife. I forgot to show you the boxes. That's the last thing. Then I'll let you go. My AD20 came in this box. It looks like this, custom build, performance based. And now they have new boxes. That's another difference there. I like the newer boxes. Also got a shark sticker with this one. I like sharks. Give us more of the shark stickers, thank you. We buy high priced knives for the stickers. You can see the locking system here without the spring on the backside. Yeah, I like the boxes, the new boxes. I think they're nicer visually. So yeah, that's it. AD20 Slim, maybe the best version of the AD20 that we have seen so far yet. In my opinion, at least. Unless you like smaller knives, then not. Then it's not the best version. But if you like full-size knives, the AD20 Slim is gonna be probably the best performing version of the AD20 yet. Thank you guys for watching. Maybe we see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.